Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Busting Through Life Challenges with me, Diane Parker. Now, last year I took quite a big leap for myself and I decided to face a few things for myself around my money mindset. And that unleashed me looking at a whole range of other things that were getting in my way of what I wanted to do in life and what I want to bring to people. Clients. And so I joined Sebastian in his money freedom mindset. And from my perspective, the changes when I reflected back on an exercise that, again, Sebastian gave me to do just before Christmas, it had me reflect on actually the depth of the changes that I made were down to the course that I took with Sebastian. Learning about our saboteurs and lots of different things like that. And they've helped me navigate some challenging moments during 2022. So from my perspective, I'm here to share with you the empowerment of doing a coaching course and what it actually entails, what it means. So without going into that in any more depth right now, I'm going to hand you over to Sebastian to introduce himself and tell you about his course.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, Di. I appreciate you taking the time out. To introduce myself, well, there's lots of different ways. The shortest is, I'm Sebastian. I go by Chief Mindsetter.
Nice.
Or I could add a bit more to that, which is also, hence, if you're wondering, the bandana, it's in a nutshell and a bit tongue-in-cheek. What I say is I, teach my clients how to cheat, lie, and steal back their own mind so that they can eliminate what gets in the way of them creating a great living while being of service to others. So I work mainly with coaches, solopreneurs, solo practitioners, founders as well. And the door that I like to say, that I use to get into the stories we have about ourselves and how the world works and the others around us that I use are the money stories that we all have. Right? We all have a money blueprint. The conditioning you grew up with, what you've heard people say about money, but also what you've seen your parents and other adults around you do with money. That already laid the foundation, and then layer on top of that your own experiences with it. And that is why you get to a particularly emotional and often deeply ingrained set of stories around money. And if you want to know what your story around money is, take a look at your bank account, take a look at your possessions, because essentially they are derived to a significant part from the stories that you have around money. And if you like what you say, awesome, all right? Come talk to me, we'll collaborate and help others get to that place as well. If you don't really like what you see, it might be worth investigating a bit into what is the story that is often very subconsciously running around money. And, I think, Di, you put it this way at some point, and I still love to share this with people. I call it money freedom mindset, but you could as well call it life freedom mindset, because it's so intricately tied to, our sense of self-worth, who I am as a person, what I can and what I cannot do. Often, I don't have the money is like our first go-to response, whether that is for, something you see that you want, but you're denying yourself. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating for mindless consumerism, right?
No.
Check your own first reaction.
Therapy, and that's a session for me.
There's that. And then, or when it comes to investing in yourself.
Yeah.
When we dig deeper, if you've thought about investing in yourself, getting a coach, and you said, I don't have the money, that may or may not be true. Chances are right underneath that are stories about, am I worth it? Can I do this? Right? Do I get to spend this kind of money on myself? What if it doesn't work? I've bought courses before and I got scammed. Whatever stories are underneath this. Often the surface is money because it's accepted to say, I don't have the money, and then you move on. And it helps you to cover up so many other things that are really going on.
And then coming on to that, I mean, the amount that we're talking is generally a holiday. And we're looking to change people's lives rather than just have something that might be for a week or for 2 weeks, or if it's a luxury trip, whatever. But for me, I mean, I'd done an element of working on money issues per se, but for me, it was about the money thoughts on the giving, actually, and always the need to, oh, here you go, here you go, here you go, instead of actually hello, which was like the biggest wake-up call. And I'm tying that in with the saboteurs, and the impact it was just so empowering to go, oh my God. And I've had some really big life lessons that have slapped me into realizing this. And there is divine timing and the law of attraction and all the rest of it, because everything came together, because we only got to know each other, I think, just before Christmas last year. Then you said, hey, I'm doing this course. Would you come on it? Absolutely. I love doing those things, working on myself. I love getting coaching. And then for that to evolve into one of the most impactful things I've done for myself since I've done my NLP and my grief work. I don't know if I can get that across to anybody that really feels like they want to push through something and they're stuck, and the stories that we tell ourselves and how we can get a grip of them, and through learning about the saboteurs that you take us through as well. And now I, of course, tell my clients about them to go and do that quiz, and it just all, those aha moments that everybody gets. It's just great. So this is the difference between coaching and going, for example, for, I don't know, therapy or to see the doctor, which if I didn't do what I do, could have easily have been me. And I would have been still stuck where I was a year ago, if not worse. And that's the power of the mix of the two. No matter the fact that we were dealing with money, to find all these other empowering things that we have that we hang on to and tell ourselves and do because of life lessons.
I really appreciate you sharing that, and thank you for the feedback as well. When I reflect on the journey for myself too, heck, let me just share quickly. What was it, 3 years ago? I don't know, roughly around there. But now with the shift, we just had the new year, so I might be off by a year. Anyway, numbers is not my strong suit. I teach money, right? When I started out, I put it out there on Facebook that now I was rapid transformational therapy certified and open for business now for coaching. I actually had 2 people out of my network reach out within a couple of days and go, I saw that you're a coach now. I have this issue. Can we talk? And in both cases, I thought to myself, oh, cool. I know them. I have a bit of a sense of what this might be about, and was looking really forward to this, and thought about what I would offer them and what number I would want, right, for working with me for 3 months. And we had the enrollment call and it all went great. I mean, they already knew me. They liked me from our previous relationship, which of course helped. And then we talked about what they wanted, all that. And then it was like, and then they asked, so how much is it? And I confidently set the number. And what came out of my mouth was exactly half of what I had written down before. And I'm like, what just happened? Right? At the time, I just as quickly as I had said that number, also said, because we're friends and I'm just starting out. And so, it all was very, very making sense to my little monkey brain up here. And then it took months before I signed another client, another paying client when I started out. And I was a bit like, the story, the tortoise and the hare, right? With off to the race, and the tortoise plods along and the hare dashes here and dashes there and takes a nap at some point, and then eventually the turtle wins the race, right? Now, I was like that. I was like that hare, jumping here, jumping there, dashing here, dashing there, right? Taking courses on marketing, on how to coach, on sales, on lead generation, all of that. First 3 courses, then I invested money. Over time, I did the math for the first 2 years of my business. I spent multiple times what I ever made in my business just on how-to courses. But the truth is, with all the multiple 5 figures I invested in all that, some I didn't even complete. Most of them, I didn't implement what I learned. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me what was wrong. I always thought, well, the next thing, this is right now, finally, this is going to get me there.
Yeah.
what really broke it for me was then I invested in lead gen, right? Getting it done, paying professionals, right, to bring me, right, potential clients. And after all the work I put in and a lot of money, November of my second year in business, I had 22 calls with potential clients. I'm like, yes, right? Finally, my calendar is filled. At the end of the month, I had 0 new clients out of all of those conversations. 0. A lot of the conversations were all over the place with people I shouldn't have never been even talking to in the first place. The ones who were my clients, I was afraid to lean in. I pulled back. They had to check with their spouse. Okay, go, I get that. Check with your spouse, right? I never heard back. That's when I decided, okay, the programs didn't do it for me. And 1 or 2 programs were just crappy, okay? But if the programs, all of them didn't do it for me, the common factor, right, is me. I had my calendar booked and still I didn't get clients. Something is off. And that's when I went deep into what are the stories that are getting into my way. I got a coach and started working on my own money mindset. And that's when things really started to shift. 3 months later, I hit my first 5-figure month in my business because now I showed up. Now I wasn't afraid anymore, right, to talk about money, to coach people around it. And I had done something else. I knew all along that I was already helping coaches. And, in all the groups I was in, I was the one to give advice and help and do all that. But I just did it just so, right? Because who was I to be a coach for coaches? Yeah. Well, once I cleaned up my own act, I realized that what I was already doing was coaching coaches. So I might as well charge for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
But that goes to your earlier point. Coaches in particular, we do what we do because we love to help, because we're passionate, right? We give.
Yeah.
But you can't give if you don't receive.
Absolutely. Right? That was the word for last year. Be open to receiving. And still, to be fair, catching myself now coming into this year to start with and all the different things I'm personally juggling. It's kind of like, no, hang on a minute. We went through this last year. This is a test to see, have you got it? Unfortunately, I've got you in my ear when I need you. It's like, just take a breath, shake it off, Di. Let's get cracking, and it makes such a difference when you can reach out and talk to a coach about these things and get that guidance. And that's the difference too of investing in yourself in that way to get that support on a more regular basis than just a couple of sessions and then not see somebody for a long time.
Because what you're describing is a beautiful example too. This isn't really ever fully done.
No, right? We're never
done. The way I look at it is it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. Yeah. Even if you've done therapy before, even if you've gone into your mindset, every so often you hit a ceiling again, right? Your next breakthrough challenge. Yeah. And then it's again, right? Take another look at the stories. I mean, in my own journey, what came up was I'm not good enough. And I was thinking, 2 years ago, I trained to be a rapid transformational therapist. I had hypnosis sessions, NLP sessions. I had, when you go through coach and therapy training, you get trained on and therapied on like the whole time, right? So I've done a lot of work around it. And still, when it came to money, there were new stories, there were deeper layers. And that's what you're describing too, which is also why, I've played around with the duration of the program, as short as 6 weeks and as long as 3 months. And where I landed now is actually a 3-month program where the first 4 weeks are the deep mindset work, what you've gone through as well, right? Get deep into the stories, uncover what is keeping you stuck, do the work of upgrading what isn't aligned with what you want to create personally or professionally. Because then you get to a level where if you talk about your vision now, your vision is unencumbered by those limiting beliefs. You step into something that can truly excite you. And then it's about, how do you live into that, right? A lot of my clients then go, but now how do I actually, right? How do I consistently show up? And that's what the second 2/3 of the program are all about, is get shit done, pardon my French, right? Go and do it out there. If you run a business, whether it's as a coach or a small business owner or anyone else, usually, come on, you already know what you would have to do to move your business forward, but you procrastinate, or you're busy with other things, or you have any number of a million other good reasons. So not to use the word excuses, right? Because it triggers people. if you find yourself procrastinating in your business or in your life, I'm going to challenge you and bet you that if you take a closer look, you'll find a story about your own self-worth and or around money, sales, or marketing that has you afraid. And that's why you're not taking action.
Though, isn't it? Procrastination is a funny one, because I think sometimes when I'm not moving forward and doing something, I think, oh, I'm procrastinating. And yet at the same time, I'm thinking, I need some space and time to sit and think. And to me, I'm labeling those moments as me procrastinating, instead of actually that's me being creative, possibly giving myself that space to just breathe into and get my energy flowing again as to what would be the next best thing for my business. But my just sharing back on the structure you've got in your programs, that's what I've developed now for mine. Funnily enough, it's an intense 6 weeks, and then I'll spread whatever, depending on what they've invested in with me, further into up to actually 6 months with my, but I jiggle it around if people need it. But that's us, that's what we can do, isn't it? We offer a service that we can support people doing the work that they're doing. But definitely having somebody accountable to every month is just perfect.
I think there's a lot of value.
3 times. Yes, folks, exactly. I have 3 times. I have 3 sessions with this chap every month.
and a whole bunch of other folks. So there is that. Yes, thank you for that. At the same time, though, let's lean into that for just a second, because a lot of the programs I enrolled in, they didn't have any guarantees or anything, because they said, you know what, this is coaching. You got to do the work, right? I can't be responsible for it. Yeah. And I always took issue with that. And there were actually 2 programs that had a guarantee, and I got into quite some nasty fights and discussions of actually getting my money back. And for myself, I decided that, well, there's some truth to this. I think for us as an industry, I also want to see certain quality standards. And I've seen, by now I've found a few programs that are really great programs and well worth the money I've invested. I guess I learned how to pick and choose a little better too. But for myself, I said, you know what? There's no point upgrading your money mindset if it doesn't result in actual financial benefits and impact, right? So for this next iteration of the money freedom mindset, the deal is actually this. If you do the work, and there are certain things in the program you have to do and show me that you've gone through it, right? Like show up to the coaching calls, talk to potential clients, right? Let's get real. You got to do the real work to build your business. But if you participate in the program and do the work and you don't at least make back your investment, I'm going to personally PayPal you the difference. So there's virtually no risk for you at all, because I've done this now for about a year and a half. I know what's working. And I do feel as a coach, if I let you into the program and you do the work and you're not seeing the benefit and you're not seeing the value, then that's on me. Either because my program sucks, which I know it doesn't, or because I let someone into my program, right, for whom it wasn't a good fit. Either way, that's on me. Now, if you join and you don't do the work, that's on you. Yeah. And that's where...
That can sometimes be the case when they sort of, I mean, in your case, I think more they know kind of know what they're coming to me with. If it's grief, it's, but it's just the other aspects and adds on to grief. But, there's only one I've had in all the time that's got to the last part of it. I don't want to do this, but that's because they weren't ready to face their last part of it, which, you honor, but it's not a case of they haven't done the work, because they have. It was been their choice not to do the next bit. But I think when it comes to something like you're offering to keep people focused and on point, it's a really good thing that you're offering now. And I'm looking forward to being a part of it.
Awesome. Cool. I mean, maybe let me share one more story too, because, there might be people listening who still feel a sense of, say, hesitation, right? Maybe even shame to go into this, because it is a very emotional topic. This is also why in the beginning of the program, we'll do the deep dive to help you let go of those stories, honor them, but also heal them, right? Let go of any blame or shame you might be putting on yourself for having screwed up so far. No, it is what it is. You're here, right, where you're at. And now we can build on it and go from there. And I mean, one of my favorite clients I also helped, she had actually built a 7-figure business before in a different industry. So she knew how to build a business. She'd done it. 7 figures is no small feat, right? And here she was building her coaching business and stuck at like a 5 figures a month mark, which is barely 100K a year. And she couldn't figure out why she wasn't doing what she knew to do. Right? So we did the deep dive. And here's what we found. At the height of her previous business, her husband walked out on her, saying she cared more about the business than about the marriage. And he then pursued to sue her for every cent of that business over the ensuing divorce legal battle for like 4 years. And 3 weeks after her husband had walked out on her, her mom suffered a stroke and passed away.
Multiple
and
losses.
While a lot of our money stories formed in really early in life, here she was 5 years later hitting a ceiling in her business. Why? Because what we uncovered was a very emotionally charged belief about money that said, if I'm successful in business, it hurts my relationships and it might even kill the people I care about. Mm. Does that make sense? No. But a lot of our money stories aren't about the logic. They're about the emotional attachment. And you can see why a story like that will absolutely get in the way of you doing anything to take your business to that next level, because that's where it gets scary.
Yeah.
Having realized that story, being able to heal it and let go, that's all it took. She knew how to build her business. I now take pages out of her playbook for building mine because she's well ahead of me. And this is where, at various different stages, you're going to have money stories that come up that you get to look at again. Yeah. And by healing them and upgrading them, you can get out of your usual pattern that you otherwise repeat over and over and over again.
This is why I'm so passionate about getting grief understood in schools, because of the multiple losses you've just explained that held her back. Between the two of us, hopefully we'll have everybody rolling in it, rocking around the clock. But I just want to thank you again for all that you are, all that you do. I so appreciate you and the time that you give to us when you in our coaching sessions. It's not just, he's telling us what to do and all the rest of it. We're struggling. He's like picking away gently at us and supporting us when we need it and motivating us when we're in a funk, which sometimes can happen. We have a little dance and get it all shook off. Best way to change your state. Change your mind, change your state. But yeah, I would just want to thank you so much for coming on here today and talking to me about this, because we're both so passionate about coaching and the effect that it can have on people's lives by just having a very powerful conversation. So thank you for coming along, Sebastian.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you for your feedback, and more than happy to always share and contribute as well.
Well, we'll have you back again in the future for sure. Thanks very much now.